Hey everybody, Cody Menz here. I have a quick little first look video of the upcoming Tier 9 British, currently labeled as a premium tank. Who knows if it'll be a premium or a reward when it comes out. So British heavy tank, the Chieftain Prototype. Yes, a Tier 9 Chieftain. If the Tier 10 one wasn't bad enough, now there's an upcoming Tier 9 one as well. So yeah, it's currently labeled as a premium tank. This is in the 1.7 client at this point. And this tank, it's been super tested for, I guess, several months now. I guess very late 2021. And it looks like it's getting closer to release at some point. Could be a tier 9 premium that they do, at some point, leading up to the end of the year. Maybe holiday ops, maybe a ranked reward. Who knows? In any event, though, gonna go over quick little, stats and stuff about this tank. It's not finished as far as testing and balance goes, so things might change before, it gets released. But in any event, though, let's have at it. So yeah, when it comes to the tank, similar layout, just for crew setup. This tank, very close to what you have at the tier 10 as far as what you'd expect playstyle wise. However, when it comes to the field mods, not being a tier 10, you don't have access to, all the levels here. And getting into the nitty gritty, we're going to jump right in and compare it against the tier 9 Conqueror. And I threw the AE phase 1 in there, for shits and giggles too. So 400 damage, very in line with, what you expect for a tier 9 heavy like this. Really good penetration now at 262. And when it comes to the APCR, goes up to 310, and then you have your HE round at 120, same as the Conqueror, the Hesh HE round. Shell velocities are all great though. So 1150 on the standard, 1350 on the premium APCR, and then a little over 1,000 for the Hesh. So pretty good gun when it comes to damage, typical, really good penetration. Going down here, it's got the 10 degrees of gun depression that the British heavies and some American heavies are known for. And your DPM here is actually low. It's a little bit lower than the Conqueror and AE phase 1. And your accuracy here, a little bit better than the AE phase 1, but worse than the Conqueror. And the aiming time is just kind of average. It's a little bit higher than these, but it's not too bad. A little, again, a little high, but it's not that much of a negative. So, this tank, really good penetration, good gun depression, little bit of a hit when it comes to, the dispersion, DPM, and aiming time a little bit. Hit points, just okay here. Same in line with the Conqueror, better than the AE phase 1. Your whole armor is pretty low when it comes to thicknesses. It does have some angling on it though, much like the other Chieftains. And your turret armor is actually pretty thick and provides a good amount of protection. I'll go over into the armor scheme here shortly. Your mobility, not too great compared to the tier 10 Chieftain. You're definitely slower. You're more in line with the Conqueror and AE phase 1 here with your top speed and reverse speed. And your specific power, pretty identical to the Conqueror here. And we'll get into like the soft stats as well here in a moment. Traverse speed, pretty good. Same as the AE phase 1. And then getting down here, same view range as the Conqueror. Camouflage is actually a little higher than these two tanks, just given that the Chieftain's a little smaller. And let's get back into this tank. So we'll look at the armor scheme and stuff over on tanks.gg. This tank does have a cupola on it, much bigger than the tier 10 FV4201 Chieftains, which is a big part of the problem with that tank. So this does have a cupola, rejoice. Let's get into things here over on this side. So soft stat wise for this tank compared to these two, your on the move accuracy is actually worse. So you have not a bad value for the turret traverse here. It's the same as the phase 1s, but your moving penalties and your tank traverse penalties are actually worse than both of these. Again, stats might change before this comes out, but that's good to see that they actually have a little bit of a negative to this tank, in addition to the little bit of a negative when it comes to the DPM as well, and a little bit to the accuracy. Now, your soft stats for your terrain resistance, pretty close to the Conqueror here. if not identical, excuse me. And it's better than the phase 1s. Now, the armor scheme on this thing, this is against its own gun, isn't that bad. However, you do have a pretty sizable cupola. Now, using your gun depression just slightly, it does add a little bit of a ricochet to it, unless heat's hitting you. Otherwise, it is fairly weak. For most of it, just that top little bit does become a ricochet, as well as the entire upper glacis. Once you add a little bit of gun depression, and with the 10 degrees of gun depression, you're going to be able to do that pretty easily. You do have a little bit of weakness when it comes to the hull area that people are going to be able to pen. They're not super easy to hit though, so you do have to keep that in mind. Otherwise, the turret is pretty solid frontally, even on level ground. Once you start angling this thing, it doesn't really have great side armor. It's really thin. You get some bounces off just given the angle and like ricocheting off the sides though if people aren't careful, but they'll be able to shoot you kind of into the little notch there. In any event though, the current state of this tank doesn't seem like it's going to be overpowered, broken, like the current, playable chieftain is in the game. Right now this is labeled as a premium tank, so who knows if it's going to be like a battle pass reward or rank battle, premium tank, or just sold as a premium or a marathon tank. Nobody knows. I'm kind of pulling for, which it might not be this tank specifically, but I'm personally pulling for them finally making a chieftain tech tree line for the British heavy tanks, considering that they have the Chieftain MK6, which is actually not that crazy balance wise, considering the past couple years and new tanks coming into the game, and compared to the reward chieftains, not too bad. Then you have this, and there's also some other chieftain prototypes and other tanks that can kind of fill in, whether they need another tier 9 tank, if this is definitely a premium and a reward, and also some tier 8s and even down to 7, I believe. But currently right now, this tank seems like it's going to be a good tank. However, actually going to fit in pretty well when you're comparing it against, say, the Conqueror. That is, a pretty solid tank, but not too good, not too bad. Thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.